This week's channel message from the angels is a continuation of last week's message. And this one is telling us what exactly we are doing that is keeping our karma in place. So, welcome back to the channel, you guys. And for those of you who are new here, my name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. And I do that by raising my awareness up as high as I can go. I go a little higher, the messages come through, and then I share them here with you guys on YouTube. And this specific message, it came in, I shared part of it last week and part of it this week because it was a longer one, came from my most recent retreat that I hosted, where a different group of angels came through. And this group of angels is not the one I typically, or not the ones I typically channel. And they are involved in protecting Earth from outside influence. So they're kind of out on the outer layers here, involved in protecting us, and letting the Earth, the whole Earth experiment here happen. And they shared with us last week was all about the evolution of our consciousness, exactly where we're headed, like what specifically is shifting. If you haven't seen that message, I'll put a link to it below in the description box, but super, super interesting. This message, a continuation of that one, talks about our karma. You know, the angels have told us before that as we're going through this process, we are going to get to a place where we release our karma and move on to the dharmic path, which is a fantastic thing. And here the angels are telling us what we specifically are doing that is preventing that from happening. So really important and helpful information. So I hope you guys enjoy the message. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. So, okay. So you guys ready for the message? Here it is. We wish to speak upon more of this feeling of what will change, of how you'll be, of how you'll feel in this next sea of living. You are working hard to undermine the craters you brought with you, the spaces within which you foil your own breakthroughs. Yes, the karma, the obligations, the detriments that move you. These you find like pearls divine around a necklace that you are wearing. You treasure them in this incarnation. You hold them like they're dear, as though they are a part of you that you cannot bear to lose. You feel upon the self as we do say this, I do not wish them, I do not. And we say, if this was so, you would not have them, dears. They would be gone. Therefore, you must treasure them. So, okay, super interesting opening paragraph. And I love this, that they're kind of playing with us a little bit here. And they're kind of saying, they're calling us out. And we may think in our conscious mind that, of course, we don't want our karma. Like, karma stinks. Who wants karma? And they're saying, you know what? You are the creator of your own life. If you really didn't want your karma, you wouldn't have it. So there's something we are doing that is anchoring our karma to us. So this conversation that they're going to have with us is what I would call a meta conversation. It's a conversation about the conversation. So often when we're talking about our karma, and specifically, we look at each specific instance of our karma. And when we go in as healers, for those of you who are healers, we go in and we're looking like, okay, we're going to fix this specific problem. Like you have an issue with your dad that comes from this and this place, and that's karmic. And we're going to work on that specific thing. So that's being in the conversation about karma. When you're having the meta conversation, you're talking about the fact that we have karma. And this whole conversation is taking the meta perspective and saying, what if we took a step back and rather than being in the weeds and working on each specific issue, what if we worked on just the fact that we are attached to our karma? What would that do? What if we worked at the whole thing as a system and said, why are we hanging on to this system? Right? It's super, super interesting way of approaching it. All right. So here's what they say. Next paragraph. So we ask you now in this release of your own patterning, what you hold dear. What you loathe to lose is the sense of self as creator. The sense that you are marching on in tune, in your own tune, that you make for yourselves a creative path, a structured life, a way of living, that you move and instruct the yearnings of an existence that moves through you. And in this process, you enact these pearls of karma that you brought with you. So I'm super excited sharing this with you guys because I just think this is one of those massive like ahas that is just the awareness of this is shifting. So in this, they're saying, okay, they're saying, what is it that you're holding dear? So you're saying, okay, I don't want my karma. Like I'm not signing up for karma. And they're saying, yes, you are, because if you weren't, you wouldn't have it, because we are the creators of our own life. So they're saying, yes, there's something you're holding on to that's anchoring your karma in. And you're saying, what is it? What is it that you hold dear about your karma? What it is, they're saying here, is that we don't want to give up the sense of ourselves as being in control of our lives. And that's it. Like in a nutshell, we feel like we want to be in control. We will not release control. And that's huge. Like that one thing is what anchors our karma to us. And that's what they're telling us here. And they go on to explain it in more detail, but that's in a nutshell, that's it. So they're saying what you loathe to lose is the sense of self as creator. Right. And we are creators. We know that they've told us many, many times that we are the embodiment of God. And that is my word. So please use yours, but the embodiment of God on earth. And that they are the light of God. Angels are the light of God. We are the embodiment. We carry that aspect of God, which is the creative self. But we are attached to that. We are acting that out in the way that we are trying to create and manage our life. So, and Rebecca's saying loss of control, holy, right? Yeah, it is a big realization here. And they say, okay, so just to spread this out a little bit, they're saying that, so we don't want to lose that sense of self as creator, the sense that you are marching on in your own tune, that you make for yourselves a creative path, a structured life. That's a big one, a structured life, a way of living. Like we don't like surprises, right? Especially in these human bodies that are mammalian, that like things that are predictable. Like we don't like when scary things jump out from behind a corner, like we think it's going to eat us, we like predictability. We like to know what's going to happen. We like to have a forecast of our life and to have what we're going to need planned out. Like that's how we are. And that's that mammalian nature that is used to existing in a 3D reality. But they're saying, okay, to rise beyond that, to rise above that, we have to change and we have to let go of that. And that's in a big way divorcing ourselves from some of the animal nature that is controlling our collective consciousness. And they talked about that, I think, maybe 2 messages ago. So that was a big one. They're giving us some major, major insights here lately, which I just love. So, okay. They say that this is, again, the same paragraph. They say that you move and instruct the yearnings of an existence that moves through you. So this is like, think about that you move and instruct the yearnings of an existence that moves through you. So your existence in a dharmic life, in a dharmic path, the existence just moves through you. It flows through you. It just emerges. It's an emergent experience where things just blossom, right? And we are trying to move and instruct it. We're trying to tell it what to do all the time. So that's the issue. That's why we are stuck with our karma. So in the process of doing this, they say you enact these pearls of karma that you brought with you. All right, next paragraph. But when there comes a time which you move beyond this life, when you stand above on the precipice of new evolving time, you will say, I relinquish that which I controlled and defined, and let myself live in real time, and live upon the path of this, the power of my might, the gravity that I do bear, my connection to what is possible, potential strength that courses through your very strands of living. Upon this light, you will wear no beads, no pearls, nothing to diminish the light that you carry. Okay, so this is, and they're expanding on this a little bit. I think it's so helpful to understand that. So they're saying that the life that we've been in has been this karmic life, but this new life that we're moving into is this dharmic path, right? This evolving time. And then in this evolving time, they're telling us, yes, you're going to say, I relinquish that which I controlled and defined. So, and let myself live in real time. So many things I find with these messages are clarifying things we've been told over and over and over again, but we only knew the half of it. Like how many times have we been told to live in the now, be in the now, be in the now, and we know that like past doesn't exist, the future doesn't exist. All that's true is now. But in the process of trying to control, which is what we all do in some way or another, we are efforting our life. And that process is not in the now, like we're anticipating the future. And so living in the dharmic path is about living really in the now and letting life flow through you and emerge, and then just taking things as they rise up to meet you. It's a very, very different experience. And think about what I was saying earlier, that that my experience so far has been that things on the dharmic path happen so fast that I am not prepared to respond quick enough, that I discount it, or I think, oh gosh, I need more time to think it through. By doing that, I'm undermining my own progress. I'm undermining the dharmic things that are rising up. I'm like, I need to adjust my thinking, and that I'm experiencing this right now. And it is definitely a shift I have to make. And it's hard. It's really hard, because what is that? That's me trying to release control, right? When I see something that rises up, that is instantaneous manifestation, which has been happening all the time. And it happens, and then I'll look at it and I'll be like, wait, oh wait, maybe that it was just too fast. Like, I'm not ready. I need to think. I need to look. And that's me wanting to exert my control, wanting to move it from my heart space into my logic brain and process it and think about it. And that is right there. That's me experiencing my own resistance to this process. So in that, I find that there is some grace, that it's not an all or nothing, that there is an adapting a period of adjustment that we are allowed, that we can be tentatively taking steps onto the karmic path. And there is a process that I am going through, which is this stepping on, stepping off. Like, oh, here it is. It shows up exactly, instant manifestation. But I'm still finding that resistance, but it's still happening. So I've got time. And that means, like, we all have time to adjust to this. Yeah. So, okay. So this part of this paragraph, I want to call your attention to, because this came up in the healing that I can't share with you guys, because they had to go through a whole process to allow that healing to happen. But guys, this message came through in that channeling that happened at the retreat. But one of the things that came up in the healing was this thing about gravity. And so they said, so you're going to let yourself live in real time and live upon the path of this, the power of my might, the gravity that I do bear, my connection to what is possible. So in this process, there is a sense of bringing in so much more of yourself that it's as though you embody more gravity, that you're sunk into the earth in such a real, tangible way. And that connects you to this well of possibility. And that well of possibility rises up into you. And that is the flow that then you are riding the crest of. So this is the energetic experience of this. And it's some of you may have experienced this or know what I'm talking about, but this is the process that we're going through, that I think the physical embodiment of this stepping onto the dharmic path. So it's an intense kind of grounding. All right. Potential strength that courses through your very strands of living. So in the healing, they brought this potential up through these sort of golden threads that wove through our bodies. So it was allowing us to harness that sort of infinite potential that comes from earth energy, that comes from the sort of the constant evolution and becoming of earth. If you think about what earth energy looks like, there is nothing in it that is controlled. It is chaos. It is constant evolution and devolving. Like, things are constantly falling apart and turning into something else as they are falling apart. Like, it's chaos. And it's also beautiful. And like, that is what we're meant to be holding. So it's this infinite potential that we're literally standing on, that we're meant to draw up and express out. So, okay. And you're saying, you're saying, so I am not in charge. Haha. Totally. Yeah, exactly. And you're saying, I had a vision of roots coming from the bottom of my feet. Yes, absolutely. So the roots are going down into the earth. And then there's these sort of, it's this idea of connecting to that infinite potential and living in that. All right. So next paragraph. This is a change in your understanding, but see for yourselves that we are what we are speaking. The truth of this, as logic must have it, there can be no other meaning, only this, that part of yourselves insists on to go on living as you've been, carrying this part, heavy though it seems. You wish your conscious mind to forgive it, to let it go, to let it diminish. And yet that self within, the heart that clings to control of life, here is the action. So they're trying to say they're acknowledging, like, this is a big shift for us. This is a difficult change to make, really hard. And I understand, like I said, I'm wavering. I'm in and I'm out. I'm in, I'm out. And it is a challenge to shift our thinking. And it's so much about that trust and release. Allowing all the things they've been telling us. But here it's like much more prescriptive, much more specific. And they're saying they're bringing us back to where our comfort zone, our logic mind. They're saying, look, we're telling you this, but just use your logic. There can be no other understanding of the way, like logically, this makes sense. That if we wanted to let it go, we would have done it, right? And so that you wish your conscious mind to forgive it. We really do, to let it go. And yet that self within that clings to control, here is the action. So they're saying this is the thing to work on. If you want to undermine the meta conversation about your karma, if you want to undermine the whole system, knock the feet out from underneath it, it doesn't mean focusing on all the little pieces. It means knock the feet out and let go of your need for control. And that does it, right? Wow. And you're saying truly a change of understanding, a choice point. Yeah, I think it is a choice point. And I think the hard thing is that we would all make this choice in an instant, but it is such a massive shift in our understanding and in our habits and in our way of thinking that I can speaking for myself. Like I find, like I said, sometimes I'm able to do it. And then other times I fight myself. Like even as this, like something will come up and it's the exact thing that I asked for. Like the other day, I'm getting ready to plan hosting a new type of retreat. And I'm excited about this. It's going to be coming up in this next half of the year. And I was looking for the perfect retreat venue. And I knew in my mind exactly what I wanted. And I go looking and instantaneously it pops up. And I'm finding I have this hesitation. Oh, I better keep looking. I find that I have that it's even when it's right there and it's exactly what I asked for. And when I do that, I'm getting in my own way. I am controlling and I need to stop. So it's more than a choice. It is a commitment that gets to the roots, this deeper part of ourself that has these habits that are ingrained. We are fighting our mammalian nature, and it is a process. Yeah. All right. So, okay, they go on to say, in one fell swoop, you can release your karma to give of this, release it now, to do as we are asking. Do it not in a moment's notice, but with deliberate intent. To take your space, to take your time to know yourself in this action, to sense in why in current living you have this feeling of compulsion. Yes, for you cannot simply wish this, a release from all that's been. You must take your time in understanding what has driven you to this. You must know the self, then let it go. Know the self, your rhythm, to feel in why, as you reach for it, you recoil and resist. Why is it? This is the lesson of this time, to stay within this mission, focus upon it now and heal. Relinquish this desire and feel instead aligned with life, a new becoming. So see, this paragraph is speaking right to me. It's just exactly what I was telling you I am experiencing. And yeah, it is exactly that, releasing the resistance. And this is harder than it sounds, but it is. I love that they say, yeah, you can literally knock the face in one fell swoop. You can do it, but don't do it. They're saying that yes, you could do it quickly. You could do it instantly, but that they want us to do it with presence, to stay in our awareness, to be aware of why, and learn about ourselves and learn about our connection to this human body and our mammalian nature, our desire to control. Why do we have that desire to control? What does it speak to us about being human? And to feel our resistance as these opportunities come up, to feel our difficulty in stepping into them, and to learn from that, right? That's part of this journey. So really, really cool. And this, I believe, is going to be, I'm talking about this new retreat. I think this is going to be the work of the retreat, is going to be learning to move into dharmic living, into the dharmic path. Okay, next paragraph. So you are moving here. It is calling you. The steps you take, you are ready. Simply know, as we are speaking, this possibility before you, to lay the path as we have spoken, to understand this mission. This is important, dears, to sense yourselves not overtaken but empowered by this action. So yeah, so this is already, they're saying you are moving here. It's calling you. So we are all in this process. This is available to all of us. Next paragraph. You are carrying within your heart a new objective, to stand within the self and speak your truth, your essence, the many layers of your being allowed within, to feel your gravity, the form of this impregnated with potential, to rise above the way you've been, to lose control, to let it go, to stay upon the potential, the drifting, the flow, to be in this, to stand above, to rise to what is necessary, to loosen your load, release what it is that you carry. This is possible now as we are speaking. So, and I love what they say, that the form of this impregnated with potential, that it's just the sense of like this moment that we are the possibility that as we allow ourselves to do this, that it will be amazing. Like I know in the moments when it's happening for me, it's mind blowing and awesome and joyful, so joyful. Like that's a thing. It is a joyful process. If I could just get out of my own way. All right. Next paragraph. We are angels, not of a sort that you have known before, but we are some who speak of plain report. We tell you what is necessary. We speak this truth and understanding. A shift in consciousness you're hearing. It is of this that we are speaking, a change of perceptual understanding for humanity. It seems so simple, and yet it drifts from your grasp. Let it sink in. Yes, the causality, what it creates, how it changes Earth. But this will do so many good things. So they're saying here, I love that they call it out and they say, look, we're just telling you like it is. They're saying like we are maybe they're not angels we're used to, but they are plain spoken. They're saying, we're telling you like it is. We're telling you the truth. And they're saying this is about a shift in consciousness. And what does that mean? That's not just about moving up a layer. That's not just like shifting in vibration. It's also a shift in our mental process, right? Because everything that we do, like we have a tendency to divorce the spiritual from the physical. We have a tendency to think that, yes, everything is frequency, but frequency is manifest in our bodies, that there is a physical expression of that frequency. And that is produced as the ways in which we are controlling the energies that we are holding manifest as behaviors, right? The physical and the spiritual are deeply intertwined in us. And that's the point. So they're saying that it is, yes, it's a shift in consciousness, but we have to embody that shift in consciousness. We have to change how we are. We have to change how we think and how we do things. And this is a huge part of it. And that is, we raise our frequency. And then to embody that, we got to change how we do things. Otherwise, we are going to be like I'm experiencing right now, where it's like stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. It's a trippy feeling. All right. And you're saying, release all discord in all fractals of my being in all dimensions. Yes. Yeah. And you're saying the plans the universe has for us is far bigger than what we could imagine if we can get out of our own way. And that is so true. Like life can be, it's already beautiful, but it can be like these moments when I'm able to stay in it are so, like I said, it is just joy. It is just a joyful feeling. It's not like I'm exploding fireworks all the time. It's just being joyful. Yeah, it's an amazing experience. And you're saying this is so powerful. Thank you, Anne and the angels, for the truth. And the angels of truth, you are so welcome. And I'm sure they are saying you're welcome too. And you're saying I'm in that stop start place as well. Thank you. Yeah, for that validation. Yeah, it's a crazy experience. And I am trying hard to get into a new habit, but it's a challenge because we've been doing this for our whole lives, right? We've always been like this. So it's definitely fighting against that. And I feel like I need to go into that place of when it comes up, what part of me is like, oh, I need to keep looking. What is that? I need to speak to that self. All right. Next paragraph. Okay. So now they're going to talk about, they said, but this will do so many good things. So this is huge. If we are able to do this, they're saying this is going to, if we shift our perception, our way of thinking, our consciousness, which is not just our frequency, it is our frequency, but it's also our behavior, our embodied consciousness, how we be that consciousness. They said it will create so many things. So what manifests through us, which we create, will then be something very, very different in the world. So this is big. They say, lean into this, dears. This is the next paragraph. Lean into this, dears. Set the pace. Be the ones to feel your entrance. Work to find in those you meet their heart's focus. See them not through the lens of your, but from this space of feeling. And name attached if you must, but play with sense of focus. Play with life, with living, with feeling. And this I love, you guys. Here they're giving us basically an exercise to practice being in this experience. And the exercise they're describing is one of feeling another person and staying out of our logic mind and allowing, and all of you empaths out there, this is right up your alley, but this is take those empath skills and like turn them up to 11. So, and I know some of you out there, I know exactly what I'm talking about. So it is that idea of meeting someone. And as they say here, not attaching, and they said, attach a name if you must, but try to experience who they are through feeling only. And rather than going into our logic mind where we start to do comparison, which they talked about in last week's message, they said we put people in buckets based on who we've known before, what our experience has been. Instead, meet a person, and they say, give them a name if you have to, but try to understand them through feeling. So very, very different ways. They said, play with your sense of focus. So this is like a course they want us to play because it's about being in joy. But play with life, with living, with feeling. Try to feel your way to understanding this person. So they go on to say, to expand on this next paragraph, name a space by its fragrance, a person by their leaning. Feel in them what you can name. It is a skill that can be taught. Take your time with one another. Feel your presence. Let it form. Take this now as a new mission to take your time with one another, to express to them this feeling. Let them understand you in a new dimension and themselves. It is a presence that will form, a bonding like no other. You will enjoy it with time as you discover this truth of understanding that you are honoring one another's being through this process. So I love this. So this is this idea that when you meet someone, to we've taught like, okay, you have the long hug or the heart to heart connection. This is like next level. This is when you meet a person and you just stay and you try to shift your focus. And we're going to have to learn this. I imagine over time we'll get good at it. So you're not going to want to do this with everybody because they're going to think you're really kooky. But with somebody who is into the woo, like open up and just try to feel. And as they describe it, their fragrance, they describe all of these, like who we are, our essence, they describe it as a fragrance. And someone wonderful on YouTube commented that they had just read a thing that the way we perceive fragrance, I need to go back and find that comment. It was super cool. They just did some science about the way that we perceive fragrance and how it is experienced in our mind. It's like a super complete understanding of something, like a super holistic understanding of something. So it makes sense they call it a fragrance. But anyways, so that idea of meeting someone and just for a minute, take a minute and just try to feel them. And they said doing this is truly honoring the other person because you are experiencing all of them and you're not limiting them into these like categories and buckets and the whole construct of comparison that we've been living in. So this is their exercise for us to play with this new way of being, to get out of our head and into our hearts. Wow, 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 right? So you're saying, you said, I'm in the stop-starters place is what you said. It's like dancing with life. Yes, absolutely dancing with life. Yes. And then I love that evokes that sort of joyful feeling of playing, experimenting with this new way of thinking. Andy says, control is ultimately about being or feeling safe. So for most of us, giving up our perception of control is a huge step to learn to trust the process. Am I getting that right? 100%, Andy, and great to see you. But yeah, absolutely. That's 100% right. Rebecca, they talked about feeling last week too. So good for empaths. Yeah, this is like those empath skills they're worth their weight in gold. So this is like, that is the path forward, is to lean into that. So, and Andy's saying, I've had to ask my guides and body to turn these feelings down and to learn to discern if I'm feeling others' feelings or my own. Such a great point, Andy, so, and here's what I would suggest is that lots of empaths struggle with the feeling that they are taking on other people's energy. And what I would suggest is that what may be happening when that happens is that yes, your radar is tuned up, right? Your radar is naturally turned up, but that you will only feel another person's junk if some of that is also resident in you. So this is a pathway to accelerated healing, your empathic gifts. And I know it can be overwhelming. You can go into a public space and it can just be like, this is way too much. So the place to look when you are trying to protect yourself is in your own body, is to recognize that what's happening when you are out in the world and you feel all the stuff is that it is recognizing something in yourself. And that's something, so they're beautiful triggers. It's just we need to spread them out like one at a time so we can process and release them. You know what I'm saying? And there's other things that pass, like you can walk through literally a cloud of anger and you can feel it and it can change your mood, and that's different. But I'm talking about when you're in a room and you feel everybody's junk. That's what I'm talking about. So you will only feel the junk if there's some residual place in one of your many, many embodiments and many of your many cells that is holding that too. So you can work on that in terms of almost like working with your guides to schedule your own triggers. So that's just not so overwhelming. Because that can be really, really difficult to manage life otherwise. And there's issues with there in terms of like chakras being too open and all that kind of stuff too, that you can work on. But know that in general, those empathic gifts, and that's why they're saying here, lead the way. They're saying, lean into this, dear. They said that earlier, be the ones that set the pace. They're saying, lean into this, dear, set the pace, be the ones to feel your entrance. So they're calling you. They're saying like, yeah, you are empaths for a reason. Like this is the way forward. This is what we're evolving into, is to being this way, but we do need to learn to work with it. And you won't have that feeling of that where you're picking up other people's junk when we do manage to just get rid of all the karma. Then it won't be an issue. So then it'll be just all good things. So Rebecca is saying, not kooky. It is our own sense of positive deviance. Is that what you're saying? Positive deviance. Oh, that's a cool way of saying it. Yes, absolutely. All right. And a good advice reminder on feeling the junk. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I think it's something to be aware of, that it is a gift, even when it really is hard and it feels like a burden. Your empathy is such a gift. So goodbye, karma. Me too. Right. I am ready. So thank you guys so much. I am so thrilled to be able to share this message with you. This whole set of messages, I feel like they have added so much clarity on so many of the messages that we have heard in spiritual circles, like all the stuff about, being in the moment and yes, be in the moment, but this gives us a deeper layer. Why do we have to be in the moment? Right. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will be very excited to see what comes through for next week. I'm sending you lots of love. And I'll see you soon. Bye, you guys. Thank you.